Welcome to a special commentary from the Latino slant. Although this story is still evolving and there are still accusations on both sides going on, I will link you to a Hollywood Reporter updated story. This discussion was from Saturday evening, October 22nd. Look out for more updates as well in the video description box.
Were you surprised by Sassine's revelation? Because this is something I go to you for. This is one of those weird cultural situations that I am not an authority on.
Well, yeah. I mean, the story growing.
It does.
As to the validity of the op-ed and the writer who has been causing a lot of trouble in the kind of like the Native American indigenous communities. Apparently, this writer has created a Indian fraud list over the last few years of people who have frauded being Native American. Let's just take that off to the side for a second. What hit the bone with me is that it's a very real shame as far as Mexicans kind of denying being Mexican and wanted to just kind of either go for the American or Hispanic term, or maybe even claim I'm not Mexican, I'm Spanish, or I'm not Mexican, I am Native American.
Latin.
Anything but Mexican. And I remember that shame in the growing up as a kid on the west side of LA, so you kind of just hid that. It was really weird. So the article kind of hit me hard.
It did.
It was like, this is because I tracked then. I remember just tracking like my whole tunneling back and finding out who I was as far as like, just ethnic wise. Because at that time as a kid, man, I had no connection or concept that like, the cholos that were going to school there were the same ethnicity as me. I was like, what?
If there's any shame attached to anybody's culture, I guess is the whole point of that story. I hate it. I hate that you're afraid to be the human being that you are. I hate that we're separated by cultural differences from where we're born, from all these other things. And yet people are using it as a sort of an armor, a shield, whatever it is. And they've been doing it for a very long time. Mm-hmm. It bothers me that we can't talk about being human beings. It just, maybe so, but that bothers me. That definitely bothers you. I know it bothers you.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying in the chat, it's like, I don't understand the shame, racism, man-made. Look, it comes from a time where being Mexican was not a fucking good thing. Excuse my language, but it just wasn't, and you were crapped on. I mean, why is that so hard to understand, people? It's not a hard concept. People shitting on another group of people for the way they look, for their accent, for their color of skin. That shit happened.
Right.
Okay. I mean, why is that so hard to understand?
I heard
so a lot of people and a lot of parents did this. A lot of Mexican parents did this. They stopped speaking to their kids in Spanish. Because they didn't want any trouble for their kids. They just
it was also a cultural thing, right? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, generationally, everybody wanted to adapt, right? That's what the whole melting pot concept was about, right? We're going to be American.
Well, maybe this is just kind of the I guess the cynicism in me, but it's like when it comes to Hollywood, you're dealing with essentially a land of like opportunists, right? So everyone's always looking for an angle to put themselves over in the limelight. So was this just more of a situation where she thought that she can get over better in Hollywood by pretending to be a Native American instead of being authentically Mexican? Because she thought maybe there was like more of an angle therefore in Hollywood. That's because when it comes to like when Hollywood people do it, I guess even government in a sense too. Like government in Hollywood kind of like step by step of these days, where they're all just looking for an angle to put themselves over and get as much publicity and whatever the case may be. So I think you see it there a hell of a lot more. Now, I couldn't say just from like personal experience about like how it works in like in real life. I definitely see that a lot in those two industries specifically.
Yeah.
I can't say I totally agree. I think you're grasping for straws. One, because it was a different time, and a lot of people, whether they were, a lot of people who were trying to get into the business and didn't want any trouble or didn't want any shit for their last names, they changed it. Martin Sheen changed his name.
Yeah,
a lot of that shit happened. I think that's what she was trying to go after, Jacob. Right? Plus,
yeah.
trying to be, wanting to be a star, all that.
It is, but at the same time, I mean, people were doing their research. And again, I mean, these are family members. So I don't want to call into question what they're describing. If there's, first of all, I would anticipate that my siblings wouldn't try to,
but you can't put anything past petty family bullshit too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Sure, but I mean, is that petty family bullshit? If they're talking about being Hispanic of Mexican descent,
well, that's just it. I get it. I mean, familiar, I'm just giving her the benefit of the doubt as much as possible.
I can't do that, dude. And again,
well, that's the other part that sucks about this whole thing is that they waited until like 3 weeks after she died to come up with this side of the story.
So right, it's almost
like I said, this isn't new news. This was something that was revisited as far as I was concerned, because I could have swore back
I think you're right, Tom. I think this was something from 15, 20 years ago, but
more than that actually. But
sure. But it is
another part of this pushback is, as far as there's questioning her as a journalist, this Keeler. Right. Then there's questioning the actual sisters, saying because they're conservative and voted for Trump, like that, they're starting to go after the sisters. Yeah. Well, they can't be trusted, obviously, because they voted for Trump. It's like, what?
Wait a minute. So whoa, they went political with it.
The people's if you just spend a minute kind of digging into the comments on Twitter as far as Keeler then questioning the sisters, then there's comments saying, well, they're conservative and they voted for Trump and not to be trusted. All like that started going into the comments. I'm like, damn, this is just getting like the onion is peeling, dog, off this shit.
But the problem is so if we're gonna call into question everybody's votes, right? Like is part of like a narrative going. See, this is the problem with making everything political, and this is kind of the neo-Marxist ideology that's like rearing its ugly head. Yeah. That's what you do with that, right? It's like you have to turn everything back into political. You can't like just take things and facts and information at face value. You have to look for the political ideology of everybody. Why?
I think the problem with that is on the other side. So like you said, for the last how many years we've made this woman kind of like a martyr for like Native American like causes for the last few years, and now you have like her sisters coming out and saying, well, actually none of that stuff was really true. So it's like, do you come to terms with the fact that maybe this woman misled you guys for so many years, or it's like, no, I'll just go ahead and attack this sister's credibility, even if there's any real truth to it whatsoever, because we don't just want to come to the realization that we had.
Yeah, but Jacob, that's more than a little bit bothersome, right? I mean, for somebody like me, I'm like going, okay, wait a minute, all right. if let's say a journalist comes out and exposes some level of corruption, and it doesn't matter who it is, right? Could be Donald Trump. Right. If there's actual provable levels of corruption, and I'm saying it this way, or let's say John F. Kennedy, let's do that. Let's not even set it in the present. Let's go. There's actual you know, like bad information about JFK, right? I'm going to react to that. Like if you, this is provable, if it's verifiable and all of these things, like that's different. Right. But at the same time, just calling into question over who somebody voted for or whatever, that doesn't lend credibility to your, it actually, it's like, I want to distract you from factual information with, well, this person voted for this person. When things come out to be provably false, right?
Yeah.
Or so instead of attacking the facts, we're going to attack the credibility of the people giving you the facts.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, because it's their way of avoiding the elephant in the room, essentially.
Okay.
It's like
but I think that's what Polly was speaking to, right? Is that they're going after the sisters' credibility because of who they voted for? Is that right, Polly?
So there's two attacks going on, right? One on the credibility of the writer, the Keeler,
right? Okay.
And then
but he works for like an incredibly liberal mag. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, and that's the thing. That's the third element I want to. I always love these stories where people on both sides of the spectrum have a problem with it, right? That was the thing. Like, I have a problem with this. You know, it was very, when I first read it, I was very emotional. I was very, very disappointed because it brought a lot of shit up. And then the other attack is on the sisters, as far as, you know, them, you know, being outspoken conservatives and voting for Trump. Like, all right, what does that have to do with anything? But in particular with their sister, their relationship with the sisters and the father, where they grew up, where the family lineage comes from. You know, so the research is there now.
That was my other question, just real quick. It's like, wouldn't a simple DNA test kind of like disprove prove a lot of one way or another? You would think, right?
Well, like, you know, the op-ed, excuse me, seems that, you know, this journalist did her work. Yeah. So, and I go, are the sisters misquoted?
Right.
Are the, you know, and so, well, you know, they were led to believe that Keeler, you know, approached them or they approached the writer. It's like, what does it matter? You know, they got facts. This is from the sisters. So it's really strange, man. But, you know,
but the story has been wider than that now, right, Paulie? I mean, this is like, of course, this is the Yahoo version that I'm going to pull up, but this is the Yahoo version of the People
oh wow
magazine version of the story, right? So People pick this up. This is not new. That's because they did their research and they trust the editor of the Chronicle that this is not fake. It lends, this is this weird thing that bothers me, but it lends credibility.
Oh man, it's all over. You're right. Rolling Stone, Deadline, Insider, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Entertainment Weekly. Well, yeah, because Hollywood just apologized to her.
Yeah, they did widely in Deadline specific. Deadline ran that exclusive, right?
Then that's kind of what I was trying to say when we were having this conversation, and I wasn't going to add to any of that or take, like, there's no sense in me to even bring you this shit into it, like, because the point is what you were saying was her words, what she said on that stage, were accurate.
Yeah,
for the
they
most
weren't
part.
wrong.
Just because she is disingenuous doesn't mean her words are. And at that point, there was no sense, especially I think it was right after her death and whatnot, that, like, at that point, there's no sense in me saying shit. It was pointless. But as far as the Academy, that's why I said it's too little too late now. But back then is when I think they originally discovered this shit, and that's why she was kind of discredited.